Hey there, thanks for joining us at the Rabbit Hole of Research, where you'll learn a few facts that you can impress your friends with at a party. Hey, welcome back to the Rabbit Hole of Research down here in the basement studio. You've got me, Joe, here on this fine recording night. We have the whole crew.
Nick.
We've got Nick here.
And Georgia.
We've got Georgia, and we have our newest co-host who will be joining us for.
Yeah.
We got Mary here. She's been
She
on
might
other
sound
episodes,
familiar.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds familiar. And we do have a guest joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Bruce Landay. I'm a former U.S. Air Force officer, and I write near future military political techno-thrillers. I've got a new book that's out on April 7th, Electromagnetic Assault. And I also write a weekly Substack column, Future Trends in Science Fiction, where I look at emerging technology and how it was previously shown in science fiction books, movies, and TV.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. It's a nice Substack. I tell everyone, go check it out. Give it a read.
That's awesome.
And today we're going to talk about directed energy weapons. Who turned off the lights? I guess that's a fun one. So, yeah, as always.
Awesome.
You have a list for us tonight, Joe?
Or definition.
You know, I have all of the above. I have lists. I have definitions. I've got all sorts of goodies here lined up for this exciting topic. But I do have my nice little opening monologue because
We can't wait.
you guys love it.
Can't wait.
All right, then I'll get into it. Light is the fastest thing in the universe. And for centuries, in fiction and reality, we've been trying to turn that speed into a weapon. Because speed is power. A bullet works because it delivers kinetic energy to a target faster than a target can get out of the way. But why light? Because, like I said, nothing moves faster. Point, click, hit. No muzzle flash, no noise, no projectile arching through the air giving away your position. Just an effective way to transfer energy from one place to another. The perfect weapon. Perfect, except for physics. Light might be fast, but it's also weak. Photons and other accelerated particles have little mass and can be reflected, scattered, absorbed. They spread out over distance, and they require enormous amounts of energy to do what a chunk of lead can do for pennies. But it's not all handwavium dreams. There are real weapons that use lasers to shoot drones out the sky, microwave systems that make your skin feel like it's on fire without leaving a mark. And I imagine there is ongoing research to weaponize every part of the electromagnetic spectrum in pursuit of that perfect weapon. But just because something is possible doesn't mean it's practical. And with a little bit of handwavium, you can put your phasers on stun.
Oh, phasers on stun.
Little MF Doom there. So,
Hell yeah.
fine. Yeah. So,
I have to say, thank you, Bruce, for being here today, too. And well, thank you for having me here. I have to say, though, I was talking about EMP and the pulses, and I thought maybe this is just what we need. Just wipe it out, start over. I'm like, okay, so Bruce, please tell me why that's a bad idea.
Well, yeah, there's another author that actually did it in a trilogy. His name is William Fortune, and he wrote 3 books. One was called the first was 1 second after, the second 1 year after, and the third was The Final Day. And it's all about an electromagnetic pulse erupting over the U.S. And basically that happens when you do an airburst of an atomic bomb where you don't have a bomb blast per se that destroys things, but the electromagnetic pulse will destroy anything with a microchip. So all of the things in our modern society, anything with a computer chip, most of our cars, our electrical systems, everything just grinds to a halt. And when all that happens, society breaks down very quickly. Mm-hmm. It's a really bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
I could totally see that happening. Yeah.
It'd be a real shame if society broke down.
yes, bad things usually happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, yeah, you're dark. I mean, all right.
But
This trial's over. Bye.
But as far
I'm out of here. Okay.
But as far as talking about reality, this is what recently happened in Venezuela, right?
I was going to ask about that.
I think we
Yeah.
used the EMP to remove the leader there, which
Maduro. Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
And
Was
I
that-
believe that's what we used.
Did we? I don't know.
I could be wrong.
I don't think so. There may be they may have used like a point weapon, because usually what we worry about and what's been written about considerably is these large EMP bursts. And those are very difficult to control. And for example, if you drop a 1.4 megaton bomb 250 miles in the sky over Kansas, that would take care of the whole U.S., which is really scary. They do have things that are called E-bombs that are non-atomic ways of creating this electromagnetic pulse. And so I didn't read anything on it, but they may have used something like that for a much narrower application. I mean, we didn't drop it all. We didn't do an airburst of an atomic bomb over Venezuela.
I mean, there are other disruptive kind of weapons that we had. Like
Not
Bruce
all of
was
them have
saying.
to be some major
Right, they're not
military.
EMP, right?
That is
Right.
something to do some research on, because someone had mentioned that.
Right. You have like things like the active denial system, which is used in crowds, almost like a heat ray. And that is something that's actively used, and it works by heating the surface of the target. So you feel kind of pain, and is used for crowd control, perimeter security,
Wow.
where you can have this weapon. And it was deployed in Afghanistan, but I don't think it was used. So it didn't actually.
What do you mean?
It was sent there.
It was sent there, right.
Okay.
But it
Yeah.
wasn't actually, it was kind of
It was like,
withdrawn back. Yeah.
was it used as a threat of using it?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm not in those meetings. So.
Joe, you didn't get those emails?
And if I am, I probably can't say that over in the podcast. So, yeah.
But
But it's really cool, this technology. I mean, it's this kind of, and I mentioned phaser, that's probably as close you get to a stun setting on a phaser, because that's one of the very implausible things in the Star Trek world, the stun of a phaser. Like, how would you modulate that to actually stun people? And so this kind of technology here could actually work
Well, the plausibility is pretty high.
for this, the phaser?
Well, in general, like everything we're talking about is pretty much something that can be used, right?
It is, because, I mean, we do have actual weapons that exist, as do other countries. I work with several military advisors, and one of them said, "Oh, Bruce, directed energy weapons is very hot right now." But he said the virtually classified, he couldn't talk about it. But just even looking on the internet, there's one of the columns I wrote in Substack was on directed energy weapons, and the Navy has what's called a Helio shipboard laser weapon, and it's a lot like a Starship phaser bag. And the one thing about it is that they need this massive electric generator to power this thing. And that's one of the biggest problems with the weapon. But it can take out real ships, real missiles, do a lot of damage. And we're not the only country that's been developing these. The U.S., China, Russia, and Israel are kind of biggies, but there's other countries as well, that there are real weapons that exist today.
Yeah, and so they kind of use energy. So like
bonkers.
Israel's part of their iron shield or iron dome uses
I think
point-directed
Iron Dome.
weapons, right? Yeah, so they just shoot down missiles because it's cheaper than using another missile to intercept. And so a lot of countries will try to overwhelm your missile defense systems by sending dummy weapons. Like, so if you send a fake number, 10 missiles, and 5 of them are fake, then which ones do you shoot down with your very expensive other missile to intercept it? So, and if you mess up and you don't hit all of
So
them,
this basically stops all of them.
this helps. This is another aid in that type
So-
of platform
I have a question.
Without sending something out, right?
without
Like
sending
it's
something right or right. This
Which-
kind of
something that is physical out
right,
into
right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
It's also from a cost standpoint, these missile intercept systems, they're $1 million. They're
That's right.
$1 million
Yep.
a throw every time you punch the button,
Yep.
if they work. And if, as you said, Joe, if you've got another country that is throwing 10, 20, 30 of these at you, you go broke in a hurry
Yeah.
because you don't have them. Where if you've got something that just recharges, you just need this humongous generator, and then you can blast out as many into the sky as come at you. It's a much more effective, much more cost-effective weapon too.
That was the big con in the Star Wars program in the 80s in the Reagan administration.
The real Star Wars.
The real Star Wars was this kind
Not
of
the movies.
space platform.
Wait, the movie was real.
The movie was, yes.
Oh, Nick, we have to tell you a few
Time
things.
ago in a galaxy
Okay.
far, far
Yeah,
away.
we need to chat. Yes. We need to have the talk. But yeah, that was the idea, that we were going to build this platform, this space platform, that would be able to shoot down incoming nuclear warheads into the United States. And so if you're escalating and you have an arms race where you're building weapons, and then you tell your adversary that now we can shoot down 50% of your weapons, they now need to make double to make sure that they get enough and can deliver payloads. It was a great strategic con that we were, maybe it was a con, I don't know, we could have a roving platform. I think that was the basis of one of the movies. Was it Space Cowboys? Where
Not Star Wars.
it was where like an old Russian intercept nuclear missile bank went defunct and it was going to release like its payload over the United States or something. And they sent like a bunch of,
that was the story in Space Cowboy. I didn't remember.
it was not Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
He-
no,
right,
yeah,
right.
it's like all the
Right.
older guys
Because they were
in.
the only people that knew how to code in Fortran or whatever it was coded in, or some.
Oh, so they knew
You
like
know.
the legacy
That's
systems.
right. Yeah, yeah. So they had to
Oh,
go
okay.
up, right? So it was a. Oh, okay, sorry. We're
Okay.
getting-
All
So
right.
I wanted
We went
to
down a
ask.
hole.
The other,
Yeah, go ahead, Bruce.
going to say the other scary thing is now countries are developing, and Russia has them today, are the hypersonic missiles that go
Mhm.
a lot faster. And so again, trying
Yeah.
to intercept and shoot those
Yeah.
down is even harder with a traditional
So-
weapon.
Weapon, exactly.
If you don't mind me asking, I don't know what a hypersonic weapon is.
My limited knowledge is it's just fast. It travels at far faster speeds than anything today. Like I think 2 or 3 times the speed of sound. But I'm not.
Okay.
I just know that they are super fast. But that's about all I know about.
I
Yeah.
would. and
That's my understanding also, that it is a very fast, at least Mach 5, and it's a small target. So you combine something that's really fast with something that's small. So it's like hitting a fast pitch baseball with a baseball. So if
So
you're
accuracy is
versus
pretty-
hitting a basketball, which is big, you can knock, as Bruce was saying, you can knock that down with conventional weapons. But if you have something now that can move much faster, like a baseball,
smaller
and it's
target.
smaller, it becomes a harder target to hit. And if you throw
But
a bunch
it's not
of them,
changing
What-
directions, right? It's not like it's like
no, I think
going left,
it's like
right,
most
midair.
missiles, when they go, they usually pick a direction and go.
Yeah.
So-
So then it's just picking the trajectory that it's flying in and then trying to time it out to where you're
Well, you also have
Defense.
to have knowledge of when the weapon was launched, right? So you won't know that until you pick it up on something. And even these weapons can evade. I believe they can evade like our detection. So they're moving so fast that they evade detection. So by the time you realize that this thing is coming, it's already too late.
Can
Well,
I?
the other thing is a lot of them will come in from orbit. They'll shoot out very high. They'll come back down, and then they have the old thing that were called MIRVs, basically multiple reentry. They break up because of one missile, and then 10 things would shoot out of them, and then would
damn.
target individually.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
I kind of this
That's
is
what we're
kind
here
of
for.
like going back,
Yeah.
but real basic because I'm trying to. So this is using electricity,
It's
like
Yeah.
similar to what you use in a microwave.
a
or-
microwave. So we're talking about weapons, or Bruce, you can add on, but weapons that are along the electromagnetic spectrum. And you're absolutely right. Microwaves would be on that spectrum. You also have radio waves, our electromagnetic wave source. You have X-rays, visible light, UV light, infrared, gamma, and they're separated by their wavelength. And so the wavelength is the physical distance between the wave peaks. Think of an ocean wave, like it has some periodicity where it kind of fluctuates up and down. And so the distance between those peaks is called the wavelength. So like a radio
Oh, okay.
wave has really big waves, and they can travel really far. They can travel through distance. That's why like your radio, you can be driving many miles away and still get signal from the radio wave. Microwaves. So I think radio waves are like house size. If we're thinking of the wave that's penetrating, microwaves, I think, are like a foot or so. So they're modulation. And then you start getting down to very tiny waves. And the smaller the wave, the more energy that the wave will have in it. And if you think about it, That makes sense. And so that's kind of the idea. So these are photons. We always think of photons as light, but all these an electromagnetic spectrum. So that means they're affected by electricals and also magnetic flux. Does that help?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can think of weapons. You can have sonic weapons. So we talked about, so you can have weapons which
You know,
you
a
can send.
sonic boom.
And the sonic, yes.
Or
That's because of Sonic the
and the
Hedgehog,
Sonic,
right?
Or
right.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
But a
That's
sonic
pretty
boom,
much all.
sonic boom is the noise when something breaks the sound barrier. So when something moves faster than the speed of sound, about 750 miles per hour or Mach 1, then you get that audible noise that you hear. And Mach 1 is the speed of sound, Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach
So
4 would be
Would you
multiples
say
of that.
so this is really the future of warfare?
Yeah.
And if I get this right, then these weapons disrupt the wavelength. Is that what they do?
No, they interact in. So they're delivering energy.
Okay.
So the idea is that you would send this, there's a packet, let's imagine a packet of energy. So one photon of light is nothing, but when you turn on the flashlight, that's billions of photons that you're optically seeing.
like
that you're
light particles or
That's right.
something. Yeah. Okay.
And you're right. Now, that gets into photons can both be a wave and a particle. So the idea here is that you have a weapon. As Bruce alluded to, you have to generate a lot of energy to actually create a lot of the electromagnetic energy that you want to deliver. You have to focus that energy. So you have to have coherence. So they got to be focused. They all got to leave the point source at the same time, the same wavelength. And then they have to travel some distance without interference. And you have to overcome all these kind of variables to actually have an effective weapon. So as Bruce said, the weapons that we have now that can deliver such a powerful strike, they're usually on ships or they're mobile units or ground structures that can generate a lot of power. So in fiction, when people have a handgun that or a laser ray or ray gun that generates
Or
electromagnetic
like
pulses,
a particle. What do they
Right.
call the particle?
accelerator, so
Yeah.
like a Ghostbuster proton
Yes,
pack.
exactly.
That would be a backpack particle accelerator.
So that's using.
So we're going to
this,
start
yeah.
using those
That's what
to
we're gonna
fight.
start
And,
using.
and those
That's right.
basically work kind of like a lasso.
I don't know what the science of why
I
the
think they
accelerated
catch it.
particles
They catch the
caught
I went to
Ghost.
Wonder Woman.
ghosts. I don't understand. Yeah. But if we think about particle accelerators, so Argonne National Labs here near Chicago, the synchrotron that you accelerate particles, that's a big few mile diameter kind of structure that the CERN in Europe, I think that's 17 miles of, Bruce, how big the particle accelerators are?
No,
Yeah, but they're,
no, I know they're big.
yeah, you're not fitting in the backpack. Even linear accelerators are room
So the
size.
Ghostbusters were way ahead.
The Ghostbusters were way ahead with their handwavium. Yes.
Or maybe it was maybe like their mom and dad, like they really wanted to have like well, here you go, dear. Here's your own little special pack just for you. Doesn't really
Yeah,
do anything.
doesn't do anything, yeah.
It's kind of like
you mean it like
Yeah.
a fake jetpack?
it's kind of like the time that I saw like a dad, like the dad is mowing the lawn and his little boy behind him was with a little plastic mower. Maybe the Ghostbusters thing worked on the same principle.
All right. Let's.
Okay,
we're
now,
gonna-
all right. Now,
Bruce,
I'm definitely
did you
getting
have
fired for
a
sure now.
Favorite?
Okay.
Do you have a favorite directed energy weapon that you want to kind of
Promote? No.
Sonic, microwave? Some of those are really cool.
Well,
The-
for me, my personal favorite, at least the half real, half fictional, would be the electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah.
Because it just fries anything with a computer chip, and it will disable vehicles. And so that's something I'm writing a book now, a very different world than electromagnetic assaults, but they also electromagnetic pulse weapons play a big part there. But even handwavium aside, just in industrial plants for years, they've had laser cutters.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, you think back to the old Bond movies where you tie James Bond is
guy.
tied down and they're about to slice a giant piece of steel in half with him bolted to it. But I mean, those things are real and we use them in factories all the time. And so there are real weapons. And again, I think you hit it well, Joe, when you talked about just the size, just because whether you need, I'm not exactly sure how lasers are created. I know it's essentially light waves, super amplified, but you need obviously electricity or some other way of generating this. If it's an electromagnetic pulse, it's either an atomic blast or there are some other methods for generating these types of pulses. And so it's a matter of getting the weapon sized and then getting it targeted, getting that targeted delivery.
So Do EMPs have effect on the human body, or is it just electronics, like in general?
I don't know. I can't imagine that they could possibly be good for people.
Right.
Like I can't.
Depends on the
That's what I
source,
was
right?
thinking.
And a couple things too. I know Bruce mentioned about cars, but I heard there is a little bit of controversy that does it actually affect cars, like a distance? They're shielding on things, so a lot of like airplanes and stuff. So I think there was one, I can't think of a show where some sort of EMP hit and then planes were falling, but a lot of those are shielded against kind of EMP.
Planes are now these days they're shielded against EMPs.
I mean, I don't know when it started, but yeah, but they're
Really? No.
right, because
Okay.
you have, like I said,
Just don't go on a spear.
these
plane,
particles
you'll
can be
safe.
so some of the protective things are using absorptive materials that can absorb kind of the energy, like a Faraday cage. So, or you have layers that would be ablated off and then preserved. So if you have a missile and someone has a directed deterrent for your missile, you would then go ahead and add shielding on that so that when it hits it, the shielding kind of ablates off, but then the missile keeps its current trajectory. So these weapons do have limitations. If it's rainy, it's a laser that will deflect it.
But-
So you have to then consider that the weapon's effectiveness could be diminished in the time of need.
But getting back to Nick's point, the physical body, the human
Right,
body,
yeah,
what
so
is the effect of that?
Right.
Because think about X-rays.
That's
And
right.
when you get
These
an
are charged
X-ray,
particles.
those
Yep.
people are
Yep.
those
Yep.
people that give you
Yep.
X-rays are terrifying. They have to go and run over and get behind something.
Oh yeah,
and then give
absolutely
you
every
so,
time.
So maybe that it's like radiation.
Yeah, I mean, if you get hit with a directed electromagnetic weapon, there could be effects, right? So if it's a microwave generated, that's just like a microwave. So all
you would not want to
your water molecules will begin to vibrate and
Oh, boy.
radically.
Yeah.
And that's how the deterrent works, the heat ray kind of deterrent I was talking about earlier. That's that same, or Havana syndrome that people get that they think that's a microwave.
I thought that
pulsed
was
weapon
I thought
in
that
Cuba.
was a sound-based weapon.
I think they're thinking microwave.
Are they saying microwave now? I
Microwave.
always thought it was
Yeah.
sound because of
Not.
yeah.
But even things like a radar dish is very bad for the human body. When I was a Air Force officer, as a communications officer, I was out at the radar site, and at one point I was about to walk in front of one of the radar dishes, and one of the sergeants grabbed me and said, "You don't want to do that, Lieutenant."
You can
What
imagine
would
that our-
happen to what did he just said? Don't get in near. I mean, did he say what would happen to you if you did that?
If I wanted to be a father, I would probably have a difficult time being a father. Too much exposure.
Oh, okay. So if people that shouldn't be fathers, we should just like take them on a little trip
Yeah.
to the. Okay, all right.
Radar.
Just a nice walk in the woods.
So
Sorry,
it's
what?
using
Okay, yeah.
it's using radio frequencies, high-powered radio. So we talked
Yeah.
about anything electromagnetic
Mary's
frequency
getting some ideas.
can be used as a weapon. So radar, you're sending out signal, and then that's deflecting back to let you know something's coming. So it's got to be pretty powerful to go out. So if you get in the way of that, then yeah, you're going to take a high dose of this, which will probably heat you up, like because it's going to deliver energy.
The energy,
So, right,
this
into-
energy is hitting
that's
your
right,
body,
yes,
right?
that's
It's got to
do
go
that.
somewhere, right?
Yeah. So I think
Ooh.
that would burns,
Ooh.
eye damage, all sorts of weird things. Probably, I imagine, would begin to happen if you got hit by full bore of a radar signal there. So, but yeah,
I try to avoid
Anything
those.
that's-
what was that?
I
Bruce?
mean, it's a microwave. I mean, think of what
A
microwave
microwave.
does. We cook with it. It would cook us too.
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Oh,
want to be.
yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
You're going to become the
microwave.
human-sized hot pocket there.
Oh no!
That's right.
Yeah.
From the
No, thank
inside
you.
out. Inside out. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds
And
sounds
I
dreadful.
was saying, I was kind of being funny, but like the phaser, if you think of stun, because it had different modes. It had like stun and it killed and it disintegrate. And so if you think about how you would actually put together a phaser, because the way they described it, I forget the nation particle, I forget what kind of particles. It was all handwavium on top of handwavium. But if you try to make it real and you go, well, microwave could be it, like, right? So you can modulate the signal and energy source. And so you could have a stun
true.
where you just kind of hit people and they get a little sensation, their nerve endings kind of tingle, they seize up and they fall over. You could have kill, you could ratchet that up and just melt them from the
All
inside.
right. Okay.
Disintegrate
All
is the one that's hard, right? Because when they disintegrate on the show, they just disappear. But there's mass involved. Like, where does all your blood, your
Yeah.
organs, your
Yeah.
guts, your bone matter? I feel like that's
Like putting a grape,
What's
putting
the
a
difference
grape in the
between killing
microwave.
and disintegrating? Like,
Yeah.
are
Have
you
you
just
ever
like
put a grape
not
in the
wanting to
microwave?
deal with the body
exactly.
afterwards? You're just like,
Disintegrate is like
I don't need that around.
I don't
Let's
want
just
any
clean it
evidence.
up.
Yeah, I want no evidence. And and so yeah, so really the phaser in Star Trek was just this kind of all-purpose handwavium, and it was like, well, we don't want to deal with the consequences of killing whoever. Let's disintegrate them. We need to take them back for questioning, stun them. Like we're in a struggle for life and death.
Right.
Kill. Right. So I mean,
So that could have actually been like you're like beaming someone up, and maybe you were beaming them away, far away, and you just didn't have to deal with them anymore.
you're right. You could beam someone to the vacuum of space. Like I'm unsure why they just didn't do that. Like, hey, that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
If it is going with the beaming direction, don't they have that in between space? Does it just send you there where you're just never ending in that loop?
I don't know. Well,
That
we're in
would be torture.
I
Yeah.
think we're in a different episode.
Oh, it is. You get into like,
Well, they had
This,
an episode where Scotty did that. He got,
yeah,
yes, and he just recycled himself for, I don't know, 70 years or something until someone else found him and
Yeah.
brought him back.
Oh, is that when he was the guest star on Next Generation? Is that how that happened? I can't remember.
Yeah. The loop. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, they found him out there.
God love him.
I was gonna bring up something, and I think it got mentioned. I'm not sure, Mary or Georgia, you guys talked about war and changing landscape of warfare, and I think there is this kind of the clean war fallacy, where people think if you use these energy directed weapons, then war would be targeted. It would be very surgical. You would just hit certain targets and leave everything else alone. But I think everything escalates, right?
War is messy, nasty business. And if you think back to the 80s, they had, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but they had a special type of atomic weapon that basically would leave the infrastructure standing but would kill people. And I forget there was a special name for it. I think
Is that the neutron bomb?
maybe it was a neutron bomb. But still, I mean, war is very nasty business. And this whole idea that, we'll just be very pinpoint, but society breaks down, and that's what's so scary about something like an EMP burst, because you could not destroy. If we did this to the enemy did to this country, or we did it to another country, if all of a sudden there's no food, no computers, no
social
communication,
media.
nothing works. None of those things work
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
And society breaks down. And there was a show years ago. I used to always refer to it as the electricity show, but basically, the U.S. was brought back to basically 1800s technology. All of a sudden, electricity just stopped working.
Is that Revolution? What was the name of that?
Revolution. Yeah,
was
that was the
Yep,
name of
that's
it.
I think we started watching that, Georgia. Remember
We did.
where they didn't have any power? Something it didn't. I don't think we stayed with it, but they never explained what the loss of power was due to, and they kind of went and.
We also watched the one with the snow. The snow, and it was in the middle of the summertime, and
Was that the?
and then everything stopped.
Internets?
Everything stopped working
Was that the internets?
as far as like communication and stuff.
the Argentinian graphic novel that they made into a Netflix TV show. Yeah,
It was good, but
It
I
was good. I
think
think that was Aliens.
you make a
that was
great
a-
point though. That would just cripple. I mean, have you been like at the library?
Yes.
When all of a sudden the computers go down.
Yes, we're very technology
Oh my
dependent.
gosh,
Variants
it's like-
here now.
Yeah, that's true.
What can we
catalog
do?
out. Where's the card
Right.
catalog?
How do we
But
check
think
these
about it.
books
I mean,
out?
Yeah.
A phone call, GPS, anything with the
You
internet.
would lose it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, we
I mean,
rely
think
on
of
it
our
so much.
food.
Well,
Yeah, think of our food.
and seasonally, if it's winter, and we just
The
had what it
heat,
was -20 out.
right?
If now you destroy, I mean, that's what the kind of's happening in Ukraine and Russia war, right? So Russia's hitting their energy infrastructure.
Yes.
The sad thing about
And the
here
food supply.
in America is that our electrical grid is pretty poor, and so very susceptible to, even if it's not countrywide, our power grids are susceptible to these kind of things. It's fragile. It's not some robust system that we've invested over the
And
years
we
in
rely-
maintaining.
We
So-
rely so much.
Right, we do.
Yeah.
I don't think people
And
realize that.
now,
Well, and the
We-
amount of people that use it to actually keep on living. There's medical
Right,
That's right.
bills,
Yep.
right.
Yes.
like a pacemaker, all this stuff going down. You're killing so many.
right. Well, that was that other show.
I didn't mean to.
Stop it, Mary.
This is
Okay.
on you, Mary. Great job.
No, what was that? What was that other show we watched recently where everything stopped working, and then
That's like Thursday for
Shoot.
me.
I know there's a lot of shows.
No, it's
it was just like when it happened, all these people died because the trains like ran into cars.
Oh, was that
and
oh,
that was the one?
I want to say Al Pacino, but I don't think it's
No,
Al
it was,
Pacino. It was Robert De Niro. I think it was Robert De Niro was in it. It's on Netflix.
It was on Netflix. It was like it was the one with the ship, and they go like it will probably come to me in a second or two.
Was it a TV show?
It was it was a movie. It was I think
No, it was
or
a TV
or
show.
something
It
Dynamite?
was a series, and we watched the whole series. It was like a political.
it was a TV. That was a movie.
No, it was a series. The
Was it a
one I'm
series?
thinking of is a series.
The one that was the executive producers were the Obamas.
Oh no, that's the one where the ship was coming
Right,
in.
and all the
No, that's-
power, and then
That was a movie.
right. Okay,
That
something
was not
different.
what I was
You remember
thinking
what that was
of.
called?
Yeah, last.
Okay, well, we'll put that in the show notes. It'll come to us here. That's,
I have to
it
think of
probably
it.
didn't, because in that one, I think they did use.
That one was
Right,
really good.
right. Yeah, so like the EMP burst they had, I remember that was in the Matrix. Was that the third one? And when they're down in,
oh boy.
they're down and they're celebrating, and then the machines are boring a hole into the last human stronghold, and they hit the EMP, and they all fall and clatter. And then a lot of the machines went out of range, and then they came back on the attack. But then they were crippled, as Bruce was saying. If you use one of these weapons, you not only can cripple the enemy, but you can cripple yourself and everything that's around the burst. So if you have assets in the field there that are, you actually use a weapon like that, you then disable your own troops. And if they're communicating and things like that, they become just as disoriented as the.
Well, oh, Georgia found it.
I found the movie.
Excuse me.
Let me
Yeah.
just throw it in there really quick. Leave the World Behind.
That's the movie.
Yeah,
What
that's
was
the
it?
movie produced by the Obamas.
What was the TV show?
I haven't found that
Okay,
yet.
Bruce, you were saying. So this is about assets on the ground.
Yeah, oh.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when you talk about your troops being disabled, that's a huge problem with all of the sort of automated weapons now and the AI weapons and things like that, where there's so much noise. Think of like drone warfare. There is so much noise in the electromagnetic spectrum right now that there's a huge effort to just either you jam it with all kinds of junk signals,
Yeah.
or you basically take away the enemy's signals.
Yep. And
You know, so that's a real problem.
I don't think this is a spoiler for your novel, but you've integrated a lot of wetware technology. So wetware is where you have computers interfacing directly with biology. So it's called
Okay.
wetware.
Like
Elon Musk
pacemaker-
is making like the
pacemaker?
neural mesh. Yeah, a pacemaker.
Okay.
But this is be more computer interface.
Okay.
So now you start having this. So like the neural mesh, things like that would interact directly with your brain, send images. You could read the internet with your mind. And so you can
Tempting as that may be.
Yes. But in the novel, you've integrated the military has this technology, and it's a mature technology. It's not, so probably nothing we can do that I know of right now. But yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned the thing that I think Elon Musk, because that was one of the impetuses for me to even write this story, is I started reading about what we were doing with neurotech in terms of these brain implants. And it's not much of a spoiler because, man, I mentioned that pretty much on page one right in the prologue.
Here, they give me a hard time for spoiling stuff. So I'm a little sensitive, Bruce. You got to excuse me.
No, I'm not. No, what I'm doing is I'm giving you permission. It's fine to discuss it. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I was gonna give away the last chapter, but I think Georgia has something that there was another thing. Okay,
I'm sorry. Just to throw it in really quick, the Netflix miniseries was called 0 Day, and that starred Robert De Niro, and it was where there was a cyber attack that crippled the U.S. and killed thousands.
Oh, right. Yes, it was like a political thriller.
Something similar where you're hitting the cyber attack.
And a lot of those are, because we were talking about this neurotech, so people start to integrate computers more into themselves. And that could be control of pacemakers or other I mean, things not even military applications, but civilian applications for health reasons.
Right.
You become much more vulnerable to these attacks. You're not going to be you're not going to be shielded. So maybe larger assets are shielded. Maybe we will shield our electrical grid But if you hit a pulse like that, like Nick was bringing up, you could cripple hospitals now. You could cripple people, personal kind of interactions with their world.
Right.
And
for me, that is very personal because I do have a pacemaker.
right,
wow.
right.
Oh,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I've got a phone app in my pocket that it's like, do not turn me off. It's what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
What?
you think of this, I'm thinking of another show, and actually it was a Black Mirror episode, and it was where it was almost like more or less paying to have like this service. So that woman, it was like a subscription, and then you kept having to upgrade, or you
You were
gonna
distance
get
limited.
or
You were
yeah,
kind
or
of
you,
right.
and I think of that as this technology. And just would be like, oops, you didn't pay,
That's
you
right.
didn't
Yep.
up your subscription. Whoop.
We can turn it off. You can't run or hide.
Oh boy.
Yeah. There you
We
go.
had that today on Tesla cars. I mean,
Tesla's
think of
good.
battery power and battery distance. Oh, well, if you pay extra money, you'll get more battery. You'll get more distance from your batteries.
Mhm.
We'll release that in the software. So these Black Mirror episodes are not as far-fetched as they sound.
Yep.
Exactly. Wow.
Well, Bruce, I wanted to ask you too about fiction writing. Georgia and I are librarians, and so I'm interested in I mean, because you could have written maybe a nonfiction book or almost like a history of EMPs, but instead you wanted to explore this topic through fiction, and I wanted to just ask you about that and your writing process. Or you talked about Elon Musk being an impetus for the most recent book, Electromagnetic Assault.
Yeah. And to answer your question, nonfiction for me doesn't have a lot of interest in it. It starts with, I don't have that level of expertise. I mean, I'm
Okay.
interested in this stuff, but I don't have anywhere near the technical skills or the knowledge to write anything credible nonfiction on these topics. I've just always had a wild imagination and love stories. I've been a lifelong science fiction fan. And when I was in college, I took a class and really liked it and thought, well, I'd like to be able to write novels one day. And it wasn't until I got my 40s when I finally did something about it. And I spent 3 years and read a ton of books, and I got about a third of a novel written. I've got in the way for the next 10 years. And then I started writing seriously in 2015. And people, if you ask me how long did it take to write this book, well, in some ways it took me 11 years. Now, in the process, I wrote two other novels that actually finished and started a couple of other ones because it is a long learning process. But it's like I write a weekly column in Substack, and a lot of times I read the news every day, and it's amazing the sorts of things that used to be science fiction are becoming more and more science fact. And so I look at things that today is much more science fact than it were when we were kids. And I look at a wide variety of things. It can be weapons, it can be drones, it can be flying cars, perennial favorite. And then think of like the science fiction, like from the 50s or 60s versus today, and even what's possible today.
Right.
Yep.
So did I answer your question or?
Yeah, no, I think that, thank you for that. But I think that writing things through fiction, it's more about, it's not like what it is, but like how it would feel like to
Really engages people into thinking.
So,
thinking
how
about
do
what it
you-
would be like to be in that situation.
Question is on that same line, because we've talked a lot about the science and we poke fun at some of the IPs that we won't mention them again, but how do you balance that, the science fact versus the handwavium? Like, where do you draw the line? Do you have a line? Do you just fill in when you need to, kind of like the phaser that we've poked holes in?
It depends. I mean, I write what are called techno-thrillers. And so people will say, well, did you write science fiction? Well, it's not exactly science fiction because it's not aliens and spaceships and other planets and other cultures. And so I tend to, the time period I write is second half of the 21st century. And so I have a lot of leeway there. The book I'm writing now has time travel. So obviously lots of handwavium with time travel. And with technology, to me, I think I've always been a hard science fiction fan. So I'm not quite as hardcore or as pure as like a Daniel Suarez, who I think is fabulous. But I like to at least create things that are reasonably plausible based on either technology that we have today or technology that we would expect in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
And again, the reason books work is the whole emotional level of things.
Mhm.
And that's really what makes stories work is what's the impact on your hero or the impact on your characters. And what I try to do is write things that take a look at that mix of technology, military power, political power, and then the impacts on real people. Think of, we're going through a very interesting time right now in this country. It's been very divisive in many ways. A lot of technology changes, a lot of changes in the world. And so I like to write stories that kind of take a look at that and see how different people react impacts on them.
Yeah. I mean,
And the idea of how pervasive it is. I mean, if we talk about like surveillance, I mean, it's just like how pervasive it is and how much data they're getting every single day based on your smartphone, or, oh, we got a great deal on that smart giant TV.
projected weapons.
But look at all the data it gets.
Yes.
Or
But,
now
I
we're-
mean, this isn't
and now
even
we're-
science fiction.
No,
That's right.
And
Real.
Real
now,
science
The ring
fiction, yeah.
cameras.
Yeah.
I was gonna
At
say
the Super Bowl, they had
exactly.
that ad,
Yep.
which
There's-
they were like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna start using your device to locate lost dogs," and
Dogs.
it's like,
Mhm.
you're not doing that.
No,
you have
and
a
that
very poor
is
rate
just-
with that if that's your number.
Right, and that is
Like-
just a guise for surveillance. Yeah.
It's putting us in that surveillance state now,
Mm-hmm.
except it's now corporatized.
That's a
It,
future.
it is exactly corporatized. And we have,
I don't know if that's a word either. I'm so sorry.
Let's go
no,
with
oh,
the
I like
handwavium
it.
But we have-
corporatize.
oh boy, we've done it to ourselves. I mean, think with ease, think of things like you can do a fingerprint scan on your phone, you can do facial recognition. I won't do either one of those things.
Right.
Heck, I write stories about how that's abused. When I go to the airport, if it's hey, I want to take your picture with the TSA, I don't do that either because there is so much surveillance right now. And actually, one of my columns, I did write about it. It's scary.
It's really,
really is.
scary. Yeah.
I was going to bring us back a little bit.
Okay.
Oh,
Yep.
So speaking of fiction, 'cause I think one of the things that happens in fiction is that you start to think forward, especially sci-fi, and these ideas and what can be. So I went and thought about early examples. When in literature did we see? Because you would think, was it the laser was invented in 1960-ish? So did we start seeing energy-directed weapons post that or pre? Like, what was that history? And so going back, you start seeing things in the 1800s, electrical guns, galvanized weapons, 1871, Edward Lytton, The Coming Race. We had Viral Energy Staff is what it was called. Can destroy, heal, or animate matter. So more mystical than technology. And in 1898, a book is written called The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells.
Ah.
And in that is the heat ray. And that would be the first true directed energy weapon as described in the story. And it's a Martian weapon, so it's not even an earthbound terrestrial weapon. It was an extraterrestrial weapon that focused heat beams with a parabolic mirror. And if you go into text, it describes this, that there's some way to generate an intense heat in a chamber of practically absolute non-conductivity. The intense heat they project in a parallel beam against any object they choose by means of a polished parabolic mirror of unknown composition. And that was written 60 years before or about the invention of the laser.
I want to do a
and
whole episode on War of the Worlds.
that would be fun. And
the
understanding
whole one.
photons, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
photons weren't really understood at this time. And so this kind of idea of using an energy-directed weapon was there. And then we get into 1920s, the pulp era. We get the first ray guns start to come out. Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So these terms. And so you start getting the ray gun and kind of the handheld portable. So from H.G. Wells, it was still ship-based. So they still had this idea there, and you kind of go through. And then I always say, what's the oldest source of energy-directed weapons? And that would be in mythology and religion. Zeus
Oh, that's right.
throwing lightning bolts,
Lightning
right?
bolts.
So that would be also using electromagnetic energy and directed weapons. So you can smite people with
There's a lot of smiting.
lightning.
Smiting.
You can extract your bandage using beams of accelerated light from the clouds. That would be an energy directed weapon. So Yeah, it was really interesting looking that up and kind of the history of kind of how, and then how we use science and how we can think about it and
Right.
kind of move forward and kind of understand, even project these things out.
Well, there was in another example in popular culture, as you were talking about that, made me think of Watchmen, the graphic novel.
Right.
Because when I read it and like the destruction, I thought, for whatever reason, like the first time I read it, I assumed it was a nuclear explosion. But then when I reread it, I'm like, oh, it was like the same level of devastation, but it
Right.
wasn't actually a nuclear bomb. So it was almost like a disrupted.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to ask you, Bruce, too. You mentioned you were a hard sci-fi fan.
Yes.
And well, now I wanted to talk about like some of your sci-fi influences in your life, or other other authors that you are excited by right now, or that you're interested in.
I write techno-thrillers, which are kind of on the edge of sci-fi. So on the techno-thriller and the military stuff. So for techno-thrillers, Daniel Suarez is absolutely a favorite, and he's very hard science, and his stuff leans more into science fiction. There's Matthew Mather, who sadly passed away several years ago. He died in a car accident. He's written a lot of great stuff. Those are two. Douglas E. Richards writes some stuff. Growing up, it was the classics, Heinlein, Asimov, those sorts of authors. For military, obviously the Tom Clancy books, and then more recently Stephen King Coley. David Barnes is real good on the military stuff. So a lot of different people have impacted me. And I love movies too. Obviously, I love Top Gun, which was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, and I wanted to ask you too, when I was looking in the back of your book, you mentioned in your bio that you are a member of the Experimental Aircraft Association?
Oh, yeah. I'm a total airplane nut. Yeah, EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association. They've been around 60 or 70 years now. And every year in Oshkosh, every summer, they have AirVenture, which is the biggest air show in the world. And for 1 week a year, this tiny little airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, is the busiest airport in the world.
Oh,
That's awesome.
If you like airplanes and you can only go to one air show, that's the show to go to.
Nice.
so experimental. So could you describe that a little bit? Is this like more like they don't call them UFOs anymore, but it's more like people are coming up with their own kind of flying contraptions that they want to test out in Oshkosh?
Yeah, originally what it started with are basically home builders, people that like to build their own airplanes. And so today there's a lot of companies that will sell you kits, will sell you plans, depending upon what you want to build. The show at Oshkosh started off that way with just a bunch of guys that like to build airplanes and want to get together for a small air show. Over the years, it's grown into this monstrous show where they have all of the builders. So if you want anything from like a small private plane, a private jet, they have lots of military stuff there. They have an incredible amount of World War II later stuff that's still in flying condition. So if you want to see any kind of air history, and so it's just an incredible. Anything that flies, they have it.
That's
really
awesome.
cool.
That is pretty cool. What if I get a kit from like an airplane kit?
No,
Don't ride in my plane.
No,
Don't
Don't ride in my plane.
No, not doing it.
The rabbit hole of research endorse this.
We can't. Well, I mean, usually when I'm making like something from like an IKEA kind of situation, there's always like a few screws left after.
And use your Allen key.
Yeah, exactly. But I have a lot of trust in him. So
I was going to. Oh, go ahead.
Something fun I did last year, there's a company called Bello Aerospace, and think of a quadcopter. They make a personal quadcopter. The thing it's about the size of like a snowmobile. You sit down in this chair, and they don't let you fly an actual one, but they allow you to fly one in VR. And it was fun.
that sounds a blast.
And there's even like an air taxi service by Joby Aviation. It's a tilt rotor six prop hexacopter that supposedly I think they're supposed to have done it by the end of 2025 to make it as basically a legal taxiway that this thing will fly. You have a flying taxi.
There it is, flying cars.
Yeah, and it's flown remotely. You get in and some other guy flies you around.
Oh, sweet. So I don't have to talk to anyone?
You
Perfect.
just go, right, yeah. There it is.
I am all about that.
We're gonna have a little more fun with these directed energy weapons. And Bruce,
We're
you
gonna have
mentioned
fun.
We're gonna have
Robert Heinlein's Starship Troopers, which was
Oh,
a
yes.
political military satire piece in 1959. And there was no really energy directed weapons. It was conventional. Once again, the laser hadn't been developed yet, so it used the technology we had. But in the 1997 film, the troops that went in, they still had conventional weapons, but the bugs actually used kind of plasma directed energy. If you remember, when the ships went to attack the planet, the bugs would shoot out their butts these kind of bright blue
Oh, that's right.
plasma kind of streams. And so it was interesting. There was this technology kind of gap because the troops went in and they got like just shotguns against the bugs, and the bugs are firing plasma, destroying their very expensive large starships that are cruising around. And that was interesting. You also had bugs that would spray out some sort of plasma juice that would disintegrate people. And so, yeah, it was interesting about the bugs and their technologies, bio-based energy-directed weapons. Unfortunately, the plasma weapon probably wouldn't work. There's a few problems with that. So the plasma probably would dissipate. So generate this plasma is kind of the fourth state of energy. So we have people think of ice, you think of liquid, you think of gas.
Okay.
And then you have plasma, which is an ionized form of the material. So
Isn't
you
that
kind of
what you call blood? We've talked about
yes,
this before.
very different. The same word used in
Can't we
two
get-
different
can't we
contexts.
get
Yes, and
another
you
word?
you made the same argument last time. I remember.
Sorry.
Yes, it'd be nice, but no, plasma. Yes, one's a high energy kind of material in physics, and the other one is a biological based one.
We
Yeah,
couldn't afford one more word.
one more word, right? So, but yeah, launching plasma into orbital altitudes is difficult. It would just dissipate, air resistance. There's all sorts of problems.
But maybe on that planet
Any
it would
planet,
work.
the laws of physics are they're universe wide. That doesn't change. So yeah, so you would have these issues that the plasma system wouldn't work. But it was a cool kind of thing and concept to see that as an energy directed weapon. And I think, I'm not sure if Bruce mentioned, he talked about laser cutters, but plasma cutters. So we do have this technology. Usually they have big power sources, but people use plasma torches and things like that. So we do use an unlimited, and this gets to distance, right? That you need, if you want your directed weapon to travel further to deliver its payload, you actually have to give more energy up front because it dissipates, the energy will dissipate over distance.
Okay.
What are
So-
plasma cutters used for then?
Oh, for cutting material, metal.
Okay, so just like
Yep.
the
Industrial
laser cutters.
uses, yep, like a
it's
laser cutter, yep. So they're like industrial cutters. So
just stronger.
It cuts through blood.
sure, yeah, cuts through. It will cut through blood.
Plasma.
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. Yeah. Okay.
yes. But yeah, so that's kind of the way you have to think about it. That you have these kind of weapons, and so you would have to have a lot of power to generate that.
But
and
we're
move it,
too
but-
busy using all that energy and power to make our little videos and make ourselves
are.
look cute in our
Well, maybe,
little
you know,
GI, our little
We
AI.
joke about. I'm
and
sure AI is hard at work on trying to solve some of these problems.
I'm sure.
Like, how do you actually make a better weapon? Much more, you know,
I'm sure. Oh, well,
Better
okay.
or more deadly?
I think better because some of the other problem Bruce alluded to the energy, and we've been talking about the energy needed to power these weapons. But, you know, the energy conversion isn't 100%. So, and when you're not 100% efficient energy conversion, energy has to convert to something. That's usually heat. And so a lot of these systems need massive cooling. That's why, like, you just need the cool these systems. And how do you do that? How do you prevent the heat buildup? That's why a lot of them aren't continuous. They're pulse, so that they can have time to cool, so that they can fire, cool down, and you then can manipulate it that way.
Oh boy,
Yeah. So yeah,
that's a cherry topic.
yeah. That's why space,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
right? So space weapons, space warfare, these weapons are much more effective. You have a vacuum, so
I
there's
have a
nothing getting
vacuum.
away.
It's
Yeah.
Bissell.
You have
I
a
have a
vacuum?
vacuum.
That's right.
Yeah, okay.
I
Oh,
You
don't-
need a
I
Dyson.
don't think it's
You need
very
a Dyson.
effective as a war.
Your directed energy weapon won't work unless it's in a
Oh,
Dyson.
darn it. No, Bruce, I wanted to ask you another question too. And Georgia, you talked about this at the beginning, and because I also thought the same thing with when the U.S. kidnapped Maduro and brought him to Brooklyn. I don't know. Maybe he's like sipping latte somewhere. Anyway, but like Trump is describing this weapon, like, he called it did you hear what he called it?
I can't. Yeah.
He called it the discombobulator. I'm wondering, Bruce, do you have a theory or a guess about what such as a weapon would be like? Or maybe, or Joe, or
I have plenty of guesses.
Yeah,
but
plenty of guesses.
Bruce is
but
so if he wants to go, if it was a weapon like that.
Yeah, and when you say a discombobulator, I mean, what did it interrupt? Was it all the electricity or the communications or
it was
both?
The way Trump described it, it disrupted the people. I'm sure whatever he was describing was probably wildly classified. Like everyone else is probably plotting around him, like as he's describing what's happening to these.
Yeah.
But it was actually, it was affecting the people.
Oh, go ahead, Bruce.
My guess would be some sort of like a sonic weapon.
Okay.
Yep.
Because they've already had those attacks, I think, in Cuba and China, where it uses a certain frequency of sound waves, and it's very uncomfortable and very disruptive and gives you a headache. So if it was directed at people, that would be my guess. But I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I would go the same kind of the sonic weapon, or it could be one of these microwave base that would cause people to feel pain in their nerve endings, things like that. So if you start feeling random pain, headaches, that would probably disorient you. So have that go in. It's controllable. You're just affecting biological at that point in time. So it's like standing in front of a radar.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't that also like what a flashbang is? Like it both disrupts your eyes and your ears, right?
Well,
Yes.
Flashbang is different. You're correct on the eyes and the ears. And basically, it's super loud, but super loud, very intense, and then the flash. But I think you're only disrupted for a couple of minutes, long enough for 10 guys charging in, brandishing automatic weapons, and you to realize that, oh boy, I'm in trouble now.
Speaking of sound, the thing I found doing research is the brown note myth.
Ooh.
And so
it's not a myth; it's a true fact.
It's not.
I have never heard of this before. What is this?
Can you say that again?
The brown note myth.
Okay.
It's a sound frequency that causes instantaneous bowel movement. And so that was the
this is a great thing to end on.
But there's no evidence that this is true. And actually, I think on Mythbusters, they also tried to test this out. So
I don't even want to know how they tried to test it.
We didn't get to that point on Rabbit Hole of Research. Maybe next. On the mini.
No testing the big brown, though.
Nick, you're on cue.
All right, I'll start making some notes, you guys.
That really works really great for an audio podcast. But
the smell-o-vision.
Yeah, really.
So that was interesting about sound and using weapons like that to affect the biology of who we are. But sound would be the one. I think Bruce is probably that'd be my guess. If they had a weapon like that, it would be sound based or microwave. Maybe not kill, but would have that effect, that Havana effect, similar to that.
I guess maybe that's why, like, the impetus towards these kinds of weapons in the first place. This idea that they're destructive but non-lethal.
I guess they're non-destructive.
Non-destructive.
Structures, right? That was right. That was kind of like the.
It's a crowd disperser,
right? Crowd disperser.
Forgive me if I'm getting that wrong, but like this idea that instead of like leveling everything, you take out the people, but leave everything else behind, so that then you can come in and you
leave them easy without radioactivity, right? Because there are kind of structures
without
like
their
that, right?
cell phone service,
right? Everything is you disable it. Mm-hmm. But I was going to say that brings up like the ethics of all this. Like, where do you draw the line?
There's a lot of ethical
because
issues.
You have it, and one place they did was for laser blindness, and so there's conventions around using lasers to blind people in warfare. And so there's this.
Is that similar to like when you have a little laser pointer and then people don't point that at anybody?
Yes, you should not point laser. Usually the power is pretty weak, but you don't want to stare at lasers. So like,
you want to be careful, like with your cat. You don't want to like.
Please don't. Yes, that's not.
But
they're pretty. But there was a pretty weak laser, so you would have to lay it on. Like, I don't. Please, I don't.
Yeah,
No,
we are
something
not
we
at
want-
the
that's
rabbit
right.
hole of research
That's right,
and
yes.
condoning the.
But yeah,
that
you would have to lay it on their
Yeah.
eye or your eye.
thing back in the I don't know many years ago that there was like incidents of people like using lasers just on
Willy-nilly?
planes.
That's right. Yeah, they
on
were
planes.
flashing it. It was like kind of. It's just like I think the power is like someone shining like a camera flash
Right.
and straight in your face, like that kind
Yeah.
of intensity, where then you get the little the phosphorines in your eye, kind of little dancing lights and things like
Which
that.
is,
So
God, what a
yeah,
horrible
right,
thing to
right,
do. I
right.
mean,
taking
these
off
are,
a plane, you're like, oh,
yeah, they're doing that to the pilot,
Right.
and like they're in charge of hundreds of people, but it turns out that they can also find these people fairly quickly, which is interesting. Or
they can find them. Did
yeah.
they find them?
yeah.
Yeah, they're probably laying in the bushes because you got to be close.
Yeah.
As we talked about, you can't be terribly far away on some of these, especially laser-based weapons.
It's my laser-based
But there's
weapon at home.
no color.
I got my lightsaber.
It's not like, I mean, like the light beam you see in movies, like the laser. Like if you ever play with a laser pointer,
not green?
It doesn't like, you don't see like, you see the dot on the ground, but you don't see like the red line.
Not like a
Right.
lightsaber.
Right. Like
Yeah.
not like a lightsaber.
And
That's right.
Nick and I immediately went to the same place. We sort of see like the green phosphorus.
Yeah,
like,
Oh yeah,
Bending your-
100%.
You're
yeah, exactly.
limboing
Yeah.
around it, like you're weaving in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
usually that's just movie effect. Yep.
Or laser tag.
And that's usually, or you have, so the way to do it is you have dust particles in the air, things like that will reflect the light a little bit so you can see it. That's why in space, you definitely wouldn't see it. Space is a vacuum. There'd be no sound. There'd be no color of the laser. It would make for a very uninteresting space battle. Let's say that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, we're getting close to the
Close to
end
the
of
end.
this.
Bruce, is there anything that you wanted to add to that we haven't asked you about yet?
Not really. I mean, I just take note of just the sort of other like science fiction type weapons that were out there. And we mentioned certainly in the whole Star Trek universe, there's the phaser banks, the photon torpedoes and all that. If you're Star Wars, things like the Death Star,
Oh,
your
boy.
lightsabers, all those. So just how common these weapons are, have been in science fiction for all these years. But for me, it's just what's scary is this, they're becoming much more the reality today.
Yeah.
And that to me is scary. And so, Joe, you alluded to like the Star Wars weapon of the Reagan years, but there will come a time when that will become much more a reality.
Yeah, I think that's right. But yeah, the Death Star. Oh man, like you know how much energy you would need. That thing, it must just be
Right.
energy. I mean, so you didn't have to hit the vent port. I mean, that whole thing was just probably a big battery generating power to destroy a planet, and it wouldn't be seconds. It would probably lay on that planet for days. Okay, never mind.
That's
we're
another
done.
episode.
Yeah, no, I want to open up a whole other can of worms here, but no, it's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Bruce, look what you've done now. Now we
Yeah.
got it. But yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, even back to reality, think of like DARPA through the Department of Defense. I mean, they're doing all the advanced research, and you have to know that there's a bunch of these on their list of projects.
Wow.
Yes. But cool. All right. Do you want to, anything you want to promote? You have your book. You want to give a little talk about that?
Sure. Electromagnetic Assault. I'll give you the quick version. Navy pilot Jasmine Hassani was the sole survivor of a SEAL team rescue mission at a Chinese base. Her aircraft was shot down by a mystery energy weapon, and 5 years later, Jasmine investigates an identical strike in the U.S., and a powerful U.S. senator just immediately shuts down the investigation. Defying orders, Jasmine partners with a rogue Cyber Command operative to uncover the truth and get retribution for her fallen SEAL team members. So a lot of action, excitement, aircraft, and that. A lot of strong women characters. The protagonist is a woman, and a lot of other very strong female characters. So,
Yeah.
The other thing, I've got a website, brucelanday.com. I do write a Substack column, Future Trends in Science Fiction. So you can check me out on Substack. And I'll be at Lake Flying Oshkosh on May 1st and May 2nd. So
Okay.
I'll be out there. And then I plan to be at the Chicago Writers Let's Just Write conference just as an attendee in June.
Nice.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, we'll put all those links to your socials, your book, link to buy a copy of the book on the show notes. So we'll do that. But yeah, thanks for joining us and talking about directed energy weapons and an assortment of other stuff. Like we went down, I think, some serious rabbit holes.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. We got the surveillance. I don't know. We were. Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you for following us through all of our many tangents. Yes.
Cool. Well,
No, this is great fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks
for your
for
time.
being here.
Yeah.
well, you have me, Joe.
You got Nick.
We've got Nick.
Georgia.
We've
You
got
got-
Georgia.
And you got Mary.
We've got Mary.
And we went down. Oh,
We went down some energy directed holes.
did I blow it?
Stay
Joe?
curious, stay safe, and we really
Bye-bye.
do love you. Bye.